everyone, and welcome to ENG3E Term 2A. Today is February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2023. I'm your instructor, Mike Laverty, and welcome to another session from Wausau Distance Education Center. So we are in class 6 of a 36 class course, so we're 1/6 of the way through if my math skills are correct. So we're still working on Unit 1. Today we're going to look at textbook assignments, making it work, page 36, and the road ahead, page 6 and page 20. So we took care of all of the unit assignments, and now we're just working on the outstanding textbook assignments before we go into the culminating activity from Unit 1. So we'll finish off Unit 1 on Thursday, but for now we got some work to do with these remaining textbook assignments. So we are in week 2 of classes in Term 2A. Please keep in mind there's no class on Monday, February 20th for Family Day, and there is no broadcast during the March break, which will be March 13th to the 16th. So this is looking pretty accurate. We will finish off Unit 1 on Thursday, and then we should be able to devote an entire week to Unit 2 and then get back to the schedule where we do a unit in about a week and a half. So, but we'll play it by ear, see what happens. Things may change, but that's the course schedule so far. So please keep in mind we are broadcasting live Monday through Thursday from 1 p.m. to 1:55 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can just pause the screen, and these are the ways you can participate or just simply watch or listen when the class is broadcasting live. You can phone into the studio. So you can phone into the studio, ask a question that way, log in on the radio, listen to us on Bell ExpressVu, or log in on Zoom. So if you go to zoom.us and then you enter that meeting ID, then you can join us through Zoom. And of course, the videos are on YouTube. Search for Laverty Wausau. Put that in the search bar and look up the different playlists, okay? Check out those playlists. Every class will be uploaded and will be found in its playlist. In this case, the ENG3E playlist. So if you need help with submitting work, just pause that screen or reach out to your DEC, Wausau, or reach out to your teacher if you have any questions about submitting work. I would like to mention that, I applaud anyone submitting work, but I think best case scenario, you are submitting assignments to me in batches of, say, 5 to 10 assignments, or, maybe, one culminating assignment. So keep your submissions small. The smaller the better. So if you want to submit 1 or 2 or 3, that's fine. Or if you want to submit 12 or 15, that's fine too. But I think the 5 to 10 is sort of the sweet spot for me. It gives me enough work. It gives me a sample of your work that I can see some patterns. And it gives me a manageable amount of work that I can then look at, and most importantly, I can give you some feedback, right? So, in order to be successful in this course, you have to have feedback, especially on your writing assignments and just how you're approaching assignments in general. I need to see what you're doing and then give you some feedback, and then you can take that and apply it to your next assignments. And so hopefully what I'd like to see as your instructor is a continual progress throughout the course where you're writing, you're reading, your critical thinking, your understanding of text, your knowledge base is just, it's getting better with every assignment, right? That's the kind of trajectory we want to see. And I don't want to see someone continuously repeating the same mistakes and errors. So, so it's not about just being perfect every time. It's not about, like just knocking it out of the park every time, and whatever your ability is, because some students are going to be stronger than others, as long as you're just continually working on your abilities, building on your strengths, and working on your weaknesses, that's what we want to see. And be sure to write down your name, your community, the course code, and as much assignment information as you can. So is it, in this case, is it textbook? Is it a unit assignment? So it's going to be one of three options, right? It's going to be a textbook assignment, it's going to be a unit assignment, or it's going to be your culminating activity. It's going to be one of those three things. So contact me if you have any questions about the course, submitting work, just anything at all. That's what I'm here for. So if you're watching on YouTube, pause that screen. All this information can be found by talking to your DEC, phoning WASA, and getting in touch with me. It's also in your study course guide. So that's when you want to contact me, Monday through Friday, 9 till 3. And here's where you should be, your next steps / homework. So if you haven't done so already, please contact me by email, Facebook, Messenger, or phone. Review all of the course material, and by that I mean study guide, the units, and our 2 textbooks. And by review, I just mean, to kind of, to skim them, scan them, just have a look at them, know what's in there. You should read all of the study guide. And then review the rest of these, okay? You should have completed unit assignments 1 through 6 at this point, and completed the textbook assignments from the road ahead, page 4, and making it work, page 23. So that's, if you've been doing this course for 1.5 weeks, that's sort of where you should be at, okay? So just trying to give you a benchmark. So I know that many students are taking this course as independent learners, and they're not tied down to the unit schedule where you don't have to write the final exam at a certain time. But I think it's really important to give yourself a deadline that you make, and completing the course in 9 to 10 weeks is ideal. That's the best case scenario. That's what you should be doing. It does get hard to write this thing over the course of months, because you're going to forget the stuff. It's not going to be as familiar to you. And I know that many of these things are going to stick with you for the rest of your life, especially if you practice them. But some of the more technical stuff, it's going to be hard to keep it fresh in your mind. So it is best if you can follow a schedule. All right, so we're going to do our words of the day. We are going to look at our textbook assignments from the road ahead. So that's page 6. We're defining some key words and looking at an after you read selection, 1 and 2. And then look at a textbook assignment from Making It Work, activity 2 on page 36. So our learning goals for today are to learn about a form of writing. In this case, it's a fiction, and it's drama. Yeah, it's talking about a form or a genre, right, of writing, and this is drama. And then we're going to review several textbook assignments related to plays, which is one type of drama, right? So drama is a category, and then within that you've got different types, and one of them is a play. So you'll know you've been successful if you can apply your understanding of plays to answering several textbook assignments from Unit 1. So these textbook assignments we're going to talk about today are related to plays and related to drama in general. All right, so as today is February 14th, Valentine's Day, I've got some related Anishinaabe words up on the board. So the first one is Zaigi Adigwag. Zaagi Idiwag, verb. So I'm trying my best to pronounce these right. I know I'm probably not getting it 100%, but that word means they love each other. It's a verb, okay? So in English, you often see the ing suffix, and then that's also a suffix right here. So that's usually those are verbs, right? But not always, right? But it's a. And then we have ode, which is a noun for heart. We have inde, my heart, and gide, which is your heart. And so we see this the day suffix. It equals heart. But then when you add like the O in this case, ode, it becomes, a heart. Inde, which means my heart, and gide, which is your heart, right? So many languages around the world have that similar pattern where we have, we have a prefix, which is the start of a word, and a suffix, and the suffix is the end of the word. So just like a clause and a phrase is several words that are built up, and then we combine phrases and clauses to make sentences. We also combine different letters to make words, and words come in little chunks, right? So you have prefixes, suffixes, and they sort of give you clues about what the word means. And if you're learning a new language, that's one of the first steps you take is you start to recognize those word chunks, and you start to be like, okay, I've seen that before. I know what that means. So up on the board now, we've got some English words. We have two verbs. So we have devote, which is to give all or most of one's time or resources to a person or activity, from the Latin de. So that's a Latin prefix, which can mean formally. And volvere, which means to vow. So to vow formally. So to be devoted to something is to give it a lot of your energy and time, right? Which is arguably, the most valuable thing you can give someone is your time and your energy, right? So that's what that word means. So adore, which is to love and respect someone or something deeply, from the Latin adorare, which is to worship. So the word has a religious meaning to it, literally, but if you adore someone, it's a deep love and respect. So it's good to know these word roots. A lot of English words come from Latin and Greek. And once you start to recognize the roots of the language, you start to really notice patterns, and you can decipher what a word means if you know about those patterns. All right, so today we're talking about drama. And so drama, like technically, it's a form of fiction that is represented in performances including plays, operas, mimes, ballet. It's performed on a stage, performed for radio, performed on television and movies, right? So you know, television shows, movies, these are example of drama. And important elements of drama include the following: so characters, plot, theme, and dialogue. So there's many, many more elements of drama, but those are the 4 that we'll focus on today when we look at one of the plays from the anthology, The Road Ahead. Teach Me the Ways of the Sacred Circle. But you know, most plays and most dramatic works will have characters. Those characters will be involved in a plot, which is, you know, a story. There'll be an overall theme, or like a big idea being discussed. And of course, there's going to be dialogue. You know, that's the main, you know, that's at the heart of drama. It's people having conversations and hearing people's inner thoughts. So a dramatical work, so you know, like any form of drama, has 2 main parts. So there's the written script. So there's the text of the play. So the written script, or you know, we call this the text of the play. And it includes stage directions, character descriptions, and set design. So the written script is not just what people say in a play. It's also where people stand. It's descriptions about the characters. It's descriptions on what the set should look like. You know, so it could be blueprints. It could be illustrations on how the stage is designed, right? So there's the written component, and then there's the performance itself, right? So there's like the characters actually talking to each other on a stage, or delivering lines to each other on a podcast or a radio show. It's the set, it's the lighting, it's the music, right? So it's the show, right? So you know, a good comparison would be, you know, you have a cake, and then you have the recipe to make the cake, right? So they're very different things, but you need both. And so sometimes all you have is the script, right? Like in this case, you're not going to go see this play live. Maybe you will someday, which would be awesome, but more than likely you're not getting the actual cake. You're just seeing the recipe to make it. But when you read the play, when you read the script, you're bringing that script to life in your mind. And it's not quite the same thing as seeing it done as a live performance, but that's as good as you're going to get. Another metaphor might be a song, right? So you can have sheet music that can teach you how to play a performance, but then you have the actual performance itself, right? So the written script are like instructions for how to do it, and then there's the performance itself. Most plays are divided into 3 acts. So not all of them are, but you know, most of them are. And the acts are divided into scenes that are set in specific locations. So and this is for like mostly for when we're thinking about traditional drama that takes place on an actual stage. And it takes a lot of work for the crew to set up locations, right? You have to have furniture and lighting, you know, to make a certain set come alive. So most scenes take place in one location. Or if they get creative, they might have 2 different locations on the stage at the same time. But usually it's one location per scene, and it's divided into 3 acts. Now, if you watch a movie, if you watch most television shows, these also follow what is known as the 3-act structure. Especially if you watch TV shows that are aired on network television, and they build in the commercial breaks. And the commercial breaks, there's usually 2 of them. One of them comes after Act 2, and then one of them comes after Act 1, and the second commercial break comes after Act 2. So there's usually like 3 different there's 3 different acts, which are the big chunks, the beginning, middle, and end of the play. And there's usually like a break in the middle. So up on the screen, I've put an image of the 3-act structure. And you notice that, you know, the action will rise. There'll be an exciting incident. So like things will build and build and build and build. And then they'll sort of like calm down for a bit. And there'll be a plot point. Something important will happen. And that plot point will set up some rising action, and then we'll have an exciting midpoint, right? And then things will sort of calm down, and then something brand new is introduced, and then the action rises. Then you have the climax, the big payoff, everything sort of wrapped up, and then you got a French word, the denouement, and the denouement is like what we call the falling action. It's just sort of like it's the stuff at the end. Think about the end credits for a movie. You know what happens. You know who did it if it's a mystery. If it's a comedy, the problem works out. If it's a tragedy, whoever's going to die has died, and now we're just at their funeral, right? So that's the 3-act structure. All right, so looking at textbook assignment from Making It Work, Activity 2, page 36. So it asks you to choose a play from the anthology. Read it carefully and then write a personal response to it. That's 12 marks, okay? So when you look at the road ahead, that's our anthology. The anthology is divided into 4 different units, which correspond to our units 1, 2, 3, and 4. But if you flip through it, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there's the 5 units. But if you go to the table of contents, it's organized by unit, and then it's also organized by genre. So you've got nonfiction text, and if you flip the page, you've got there's one big category called nonfiction, and there's one big category called literature. And yeah, so there's the 2 categories. So there's literature and there's nonfiction. So fiction and nonfiction. And if you go to literature and go to the very bottom, there are 3 plays you can pick from for this assignment, right? So you can do, there's actually 4. So there is The Blame. That's on page 159. We have Drop the Beat. That's on page 210. You have My Fair Lady. And that's on page 53. And then you have, of course, the Sacred Circle, which is the play that we're going to look at today briefly. That's page 6. So you can pick one of those 5 plays, and if you just flip to each one, you can get a sense of what it's going to be about, how long it is, right? So So My Fair Lady is a musical. Eliza has a specific goal to achieve. In this scene, she is taking her first steps towards reaching that goal by coming to meet with Professor Higgins. So we got one scene from the musical My Fair Lady, and that is 60. So that's about 7 pages long. And then we have The Blame. And they give you a bit of context. So The Blame by E.B. McCabe. So it's one scene. Takes place in a small office space of Hank the Mechanic Auto Body Shop. And that one is only about 4 pages long. So there's that. And the other one is Drop the Beat. So this is based off a TV show of the same name that focuses on a group of young people who have worked hard to achieve success in the hip-hop community. So this is starts on page 211, goes to page 218, so about 7 pages long. So The Blame, Drop the Beat, My Fair Lady, these ones are shorter. So if you don't want to read a longer play, if you're pressed for time, and don't worry, you can do that. You can pick one of the smaller plays. Show Me the Ways of the Sacred Circle is the longest play in the anthology, and that one's about 20 pages long. So and it's the only complete play, right? So these three right here are what we call excerpts, and an excerpt is a part. That's all you get. But with Show Me the Ways of the Sacred Circle, you do get the whole play, right? Which makes it a bit easier to write about because you know the whole thing. So pick one of these plays, read it carefully, and then write a personal response to it. And so when we write a personal response, we need to keep in mind that key word, personal, okay? So you need to talk about your opinion, right? You know, did you like it? Why or why not? Keep it personal, right? So tell us your opinion. You should tell us how it made you feel, right? Any connections? Let's see. Any connections to your life? Let's see what else. So it's a personal response. Do you have a favorite character or line from the play? Okay, so really keep that in mind. It's a personal response. So, you know, so I would say, you know, answer the questions. Sorry, I'll make them questions. Do you have a favorite character or line from the play? How did the play make you feel? Are there any connections to your own life? Did you like it? Why or why not? So answer those questions, and quote the text. Or talk about specific lines from the poem or from the play. Okay, so that's probably the best thing you can do, right? And if you can, you can talk about those key elements, like talk about the characters, talk about the story, the plot, you know, um, talk about the theme of the play, um, talk about the dialogue, right? But again, just keep it specific. That's gonna produce the best writing. Do you know the theme? Do you know what this play is really about? So, like a lot of TV shows and movies, there is we can talk about the story of something that happens. So the story or the plot is usually like just what happens. Like it's literally just a description of what happens. First I did this, then they did that, then they did that. That's the story, okay? So that's the story, that's the plot. The theme is a little bit different, okay? So the theme is like the deeper message and what it is really about. There's a famous play called Waiting for Godot, and it's two old men, and the whole play is just them waiting at a bus stop. And then you realize as you watch the play that Godot, which is Godot, it's a French name, they're actually talking about God, and they're waiting for God to make himself known, and it's a very deep and philosophical play. But on the surface, it's just two old guys at a park bench, or I think they're at a bus stop, and they're just talking to each other, right? So if you don't think about it deeply, you miss the message. So what is the play really about? Beyond the surface, beyond just what the characters are saying, right? This is when we read between the lines, right? And what are they trying to make me think, right? So, and just I want you to connect that back to Robert Frost, right? Are we just talking about going for a hike in nature and picking this path over that path, or is there a deeper meaning here, right? Think of all the paths you can take in life. There's the real paths, there's the metaphorical paths you can take. There's, all kinds of different journeys you can take. So think about that. There's always a deeper meaning to these things, right? And the authors of these plays, of these poems, of these stories, of these movies, they're always trying to give the reader an emotion. They're trying to make you feel a certain way, but I think they're trying to make you think a certain way. And I think they want you to make the connections on your own. And, when you watch a play, the director doesn't stop the play and explain to everybody what's going on. And, you have to figure it out yourself. And I like to use the comparison with stand-up comedy or somebody telling a joke. If you don't get the joke, then you don't get it. And if you don't get it and somebody explains it to you, it's still funny, but not quite as funny as had you figured it out yourself. And when you first start reading dramas and plays, it can be hard to get the deeper meaning. You sort of need a book or a teacher who can like guide you through it. But once you see a few examples, that's what helps you kind of take it to the next level, and then you can identify what is really happening. So the anthology selection is Teach Me the Ways of the Sacred Circle by Valerie Dudo Ward. And so you have some instructions for this one. So before you read page 6, in scripts, the stage directions are usually in italics. They tell the director and actors important information about the set and the characters. Scan the stage directions on the first 2 pages to find descriptions of the 3 main characters. Based on these brief descriptions, what do you think Matt, Elaine, and Sam are like? So again, this is before we read, so you don't read the whole thing and figure out what these characters are like. What you do is you look at the descriptions of the characters, and then you try to figure out what they're like. Okay, so on the first 2 pages to find the descriptions. The stage directions to figure out what these characters are like, right? So this is what somebody would read, like if they were gonna stage this play. So if you were the director and you were trying to figure out and you were trying to figure out the meaning of this play. Well, not the meaning. So if you were trying to figure out how to produce this play and which character should play Matt and who should play Elaine, and you would go and you would read these character descriptions. So we have the stage and set designs, okay? And so we have the stage and set designs. So we have information about it tells you like how you would set the stage up. So it doesn't tell us anything about the characters, but Act 1, Scene 1, it says setting. Matt and Elaine are rehearsing Teach Me the Ways of the Sacred Circle in its instrumental version. The 2 are in the basement family room of the Jack home, which is sparsely furnished with an old couch, 2 battered bar stools with no bar, a kitchen table, and a musical equipment. Elaine is playing at stage left, and Matt is at stage center. The stage is dark at the play's opening, and the lights come up. The 2 begin playing. They start off well, and then Matt hits a discordant note. Matt is very stylishly and trendily dressed. His hair is styled in the contemporary way. So that's like, so if someone in like 10 years ago was producing this play, they would like just do whatever's trending and whatever's sort of like kids look like these days. Elaine is dressed in vivid and innovative colors, with her clothing more expressive than fashion conscious. When Matt makes the mistake in the music, he puts down his instrument and storms off to stage right, flopping onto a battered couch. Elaine puts down her instrument and follows him, sitting on a bar stool. Okay. And then on page 8, we have more in italics. Sam walks on stage left. He is dressed much less stylishly than Matt. There is a dated look about his clothes. He is wearing an old leather jacket and wide-legged jeans and scuffed cowboy boots. He is a jaunty, smiling young man. He carries a paper bag, which he sets down by the chairs, and then he takes off his jacket and tosses it on the table. So, with all you have to go off is those stage directions. What do you think Matt, Elaine, and Sam are like, right? So 6 marks. Give me 2 descriptions for each character. Sort of like 2 predictions on what you think that character is like. So let's see. Let's do 2 points for each character. Okay. Now, 3 marks to find the words sacred, enhance, innovative. So for this one, you can simply track down the dictionary definition. That's fine, but just simply define those words. Okay, so that can be a dictionary definition you could put that in your own words if you want, and you could also do like a yeah, so just simply get the dictionary definition. Whoops. And optionally, if you want, you can just put that in your own words, right? Optional, you could provide an example. Okay, after you read, page 20, activity 1. Matt, Elaine, and Sam. That says same, but it should be Sam. Whoops. Yeah. So Elaine, Matt, and Sam are graduation. Look at that. They are graduating. They're graduating from high school. And wow, I had a lot of mistakes on this one. They are saying goodbye to their old lives. In your reading response journal, list the plans each of them has for the journey ahead. So in the anthology, they make reference to a reading response journal, so don't worry about that. You just your assignments are, in a sense, your reading response journal. So we read something and then we respond to it, right? So I want you to list the plans each of them has for the journey ahead. So that's going to be for each character. List what they have going on in their lives for the journey ahead, right? So you have to. So for that, you have to read the entire play, and then that's what I would suggest to do. And so maybe so one strategy you might want to do, so this would be like a during reading strategy. What you might want to do is to have like have Sam, Elaine, and Matt. And we're doing things they say about their future. And you might want to record it like Act 1, Scene 1. So let's just try and do one of these together. Okay, I've got Act 2, Scene 2. Act 2, Scene 1, starting from page 13. Setting is the basement or the rec room of the Jack family. Matt, Elaine, and Sam enter stage right. Matt, I hope our ceremony goes better than the rehearsal this afternoon. Elaine, want to know what I'm wearing to the grad? Sam, we don't care what you're wearing. We only care about your singing. Well, tell me what you're going to wear. I know you will anyway. So they're talking about what to do at the graduation ceremony. And, you know, they're talking about, you know, the graduation ceremony. And then at one point, Matt says, plus the three of us are going on to post-secondary schooling. And Sam says, that makes two of us. What? You're going to business school in September. We talked about it, remember? About getting more Indian people into management jobs. Elaine, Sam, I thought you were going to wait before you told him. Told me what? What's going on around here? Sam says, well, I have a job offer, Matt, and I didn't want to tell you because you've been so worried about your granny. You see, my band in Okanagan has offered me a job working for the council, and they'll send me to some management courses, and it just feels like the right thing to do right now. So I won't do this whole thing for you, but that's a good starting point, right? So in Act 1, you can use the Roman numerals if you want. Act 2, Scene 1. Sam says, you know, my band, in the Okanagan has offered me a job. So that's kind of what you want to do. You want to have a sheet of paper in front of you. And as you read this play, you want to write down anytime somebody talks about their plans for the future. And then once you've got that figured out for each character, try to get 2 points for each one. So what does Sam want to do in the future? What does Elaine say about her future? What does Matt say about his future? Okay, so I would just read the play, and anytime the character brings up a plan for the future, jot it down in your notebook, and then when you go to answer the question, you'll have all of those things right in front of you, and it'll be super easy to answer the question for your 8 marks. Okay, and finally, Activity 2, explain the meaning of the title of the play. What does the title have to do with the characters' journeys? So, just want to draw your attention there to the use of the apostrophe, right? So, when we say characters, apostrophe, so it means something belongs to the characters. In this case, what belongs to them? Their journeys, right? So what's the connection between the title of the play? So, teach me the ways of the sacred circle. So, there's a couple of important things to keep in mind. This is the song they're rehearsing. So, teach me the ways of the sacred circle. You know, so they're playing slash, rehearsing. Am I spelling that right? So that's important, right? You got to ask yourself, so what what is the circle, right? You know, is it the same circle for all three? You know, they're on different journeys, right? For example, right? So that there's many ways you could approach this problem, right? So, but it's only worth 3 marks. But just connect the name of that play to the characters. Show me the ways of the sacred circle. How do they learn about the circle? So just some questions you could ask yourself, right? Who is teaching, right? Who is teaching? Who is learning in this situation, right? So those are some important questions you could ask yourself. So, and that is the last textbook assignment you have from Unit 1. Of course, there is a large culminating activity which I want to spend some time talking about tomorrow and Thursday's class, along with some other readings we haven't gotten to. But that is the essence of what we're talking about here. So and then maybe just while we have a bit of time, I think that this one's going to take you the most kind of work from these questions. So, but again, it really helps if you have that in mind. Even though it's after you read, you might want to keep a journal, keep a notebook, and just talk about anytime one of these characters makes a plan for the future. Anytime they mention something about what they're going to do, jot that down, and then you're just simply listing their plans they have for the future. And if you can quote it from the scene and the page in the book and the act, that's bonus marks, right? So get that done. So that is it for today's class. We will tune in for tomorrow. Thank you.